Hello everyone. Today's poem is 江雪 by Liu Zongyuan. Before we talk about the poem, I would like to say a little bit on the weather. For Chinese, we have a sort of the day in every year, 24 solar terms, which is 24 specific date in a year. This actually is the indication of the weather changes, and also for the Asian Chinese, basically is a country of the peasant and farming field. So this 24 solar terms date would be used as to indicate the peasant to do the cultivations, when to plant, when seeding, and when to harvest. So today is one of the 24 solar terms, 大雪, heavy snows. So because of these terms, it reminded me of this poem. The poem was not exactly know what kind of a date it refers, but it's writing about the big, heavy snows. Okay, let's take a look at the poem. 江雪 柳宗元千山鸟飞尽，万径人踪灭。孤舟蓑笠翁，独钓寒江雪。A very simple poem again. Even the modern Chinese can read it with not even a problem today. 江雪 river, but in the old ancient times only refers to the Yangtze River or the river, the branch river of the Yangtze River. 雪 snow. So this title shows very clearly is writing about the snows in the southern China. In the Tang Dynasty, it was believed that the weather was 2 degrees higher than today's. So you may have a little bit doubt, how can they have snows in the South China in the Tang Dynasty? Anyhow, there's so many series. One series after the Prosperous time, the weather changed, and there's a lot of the historical record that the weather goes getting cold and the rain and snows are much heavier. So this could be the reason. It's writing about the reality. It's not about all the imaginations, because the poet writing about, if you check the weathers today, the average temperature is roughly 2 or 3 degrees in the coldest weather. I mean the lower temperature, average lower temperatures. So it's hardly for you to tell it can have such a snow. But you can see, because in the poem, the snows should be very heavy, but the river was not frozen. So definitely it's writing about something in the South China. In the North China, the rivers froze. So that's the difference. And I do believe he's writing about the real situation and real scenarios. So sometimes you cannot compare everything to today's situation. You should be a little careful and do some little own research. 千山鸟飞绝，万径人踪灭. It's very so simple. If you have studied a little bit Mandarin as a foreigner, you know it. So the southern mountains, the birds has gone away. And there's 10,000s of small trails, tracks, or roads in the mountains maybe, or maybe in the plain area. And there's no track of the humans, and all is destroyed. So the unique character in these two sentences is 绝 and 灭. 绝 normally refers to something to the end, but there's also a little bit a metaphor or hint on the destroy or killing. 万径人踪灭. 灭 is also the same, a little bit same like the character 绝. So it's has much more strong associated with killing. So everything is destroyed and killed. So here, that's the Mandarins, because you can kill a bird, but you cannot kill the track of the humans on the road. But that's the Mandarin. 孤舟蓑笠翁，独钓寒江雪. Very simple again. The word is also used in today's language. 孤舟, the one single, alone boat, small boat, and there stand a fisherman. 蓑笠翁. 蓑is the coat made of grass, and li is the big hat made of bamboo. So that's normally for the fishermen or someone through the raining days, go through the rainings at the raincoat. 独钓寒江雪. So he is doing the fisherings in the cold river and snow, among the snow. So that's also the Chinese Mandarins. Is the characters has a very vague meaning, or it has a lot of meaning, and also in the poem everything is so concise. So it's if you use the grammar to analyze this sentence, 独钓寒江雪, so how can you fish the river and snows? Actually, it doesn't mean that. It means you're fishing in the cold river among the heavy snow. Let's look at the first character of each sentences. The first one, 千, thousand. Second one, 1, 10,000. So these two describing the surrounding world. So this big figure, 1,000, 10,000, makes it sounds like it's a prosperous, crowded place. But the ending is denying, 绝 and 灭. So the bigger the figure is, when you're denying it, it makes the word or the sense more loneliness or more feel. So I'm not know I'm explaining this very clear or not, but you can feel you're describing a very, very prosperous place, and then finally at the ending you deny it. So the changes make you feel this place more lonely or more destroyed, more killing. And the third sentence, gu gu along, or just one. And the fourth sentence, du along again, just one person. So the first two sentences with a huge numbers, but it denied, and so it makes you feel the loneliness and everything, or the other way, the everything destroyed. The third and fourth sentence, it goes to the point, and also it goes to the describing the fisherman's, and this he write this straightforward, along, so still along. Use the contrast or denying and straightforward writing techniques, always describing the feeling of loneliness. By first look, a very simple poem describing the static picture, and the only thing a little special is there's a lot of strong hint on the destroying and the killings. Why this poem is so famous, and it was among the short list of the Tang poem as well. Let's have a look on the poet first, Liu Zongyuan, because for the Chinese literature theory is when you look at a poem or articles, not on the surface, it's far more not enough. You should know the people and know the background, and then you look further and look back again, and then you understand this poem or articles. Liu Zongyuan was born roughly 20 years later after the Civil War, in a chaos time, because in that time the country became weaker and weaker, and the central government cannot control all the regions very well, and there's still some of small little battles. So Liu Zongyuan was born in the capital city of Chang'an in a family of several generations to serve the government. He was well educated and passed the imperial exam in the age of 24. The very few genius in the Tang Dynasty, more than 300 years period. Only very, very few genius can get past in such an early age. Liu Zongyuan was one of them. And even he got a very well education in his youth time and junior years. He still felt the not very well societies, because he was forced to leave Chang'an because of the chaos, to live with fathers in some of the countryside. So he know the disasters, the poverties, the devastating politics sort of things. Anyhow, when he passed the exam and get a position in the government, his career life is pretty smooth until his early 30s. In that year, the old emperor died and a new emperor get to the throne. And he wanted to do something new, and he gathered a bunch of people, the intellectual people, to do the new policies, to make his new policies. Liu Zongyuan was among one of them. But very quickly, this bunch of people, of course, also the new emperor, failed. So Liu Zongyuan was sent to the most uncivilized area in the Tang Dynasty, which is Hunan province today. The place was so-called Yongzhou. He stayed there for 10 years, and this poem was written in the Yongzhou, the place in the Hunan province, which is at the southeast corner of the Hunan province. From the geographic distance, looks like the most far away place, but regarding to the economy, the civilizations, and the local peoples, this is the most uncivilized place in the Tang Dynasty. When Liu Zongyuan got to the place, he cannot talk to the local peoples because they speak a different language, not Mandarin or not Xinjiang. He studied their local language and tried to talk directly to the local peoples. So that's the situation, and there's a lot of the uncivilized cultures in this area. But today we can see it's a different culture. But in that time, as the Tang people see it, or the people from the central government, from the Chang'an city, though it was recorded as uncivilized. Anyhow, he do a lot of good things to the people, so the people there remind him very well until today. So that poem was basically in that situation. He was sent to the farthest, the most distant place in the world for Tang people, and in a normal sense, he may never get back to his hometown or to the civilized life. It was just like abandoned to the moon today. You have no chance to get back, and you have no chance to talk to people who can share the common ground, or who knows the language at least to each other. So that's the place. For Liu Zongyuan personally, he's not only goes through the ordinary studies, the histories, the literacies, but he has a very, very strong interest in the philosophies. He believes the fate is not decided by the God. In the Mandarin, 天, in the heaven, or in translation, the fate is not decided by the heaven. It's something by yourself. But the heaven has his own ways. So it's not the heaven or the God decide everything. The person have your person's ways, the heaven your heaven's ways. So you should master the ways of your ways, but also you should have a very careful study of the ways of the heavens, because the human cannot against the heaven in the basic points. So that's the Liu Zongyuan. He has a lot of studies on the Confucius, the Taoism, the Buddhism. He's so he can be called a scholar on all these, and he has so many articles on the philosophy things. So that's Liu Zongyuan. So this can be reflected in his poem, because his situation, he was abandoned by the humans. So, and he was in a place like the monks. He cannot talk to the people. He has no friends. He has no life actually, and he cannot go back to his hometown. So he was just like, I cannot describe how the situation, but you can feel it. He was just in somewhere and can never get back to his home. And this is the first two sentences. In his mind, it looks like for him even the nature has gone. The bird, there's no bird. Not to say the humans, 万境人踪灭. So, of course, there's no human as well. So that's the description of the nature, but actually it's a reflection on his mind. But the third and fourth sentence actually is his philosophy. Even I was not in the world, the human's world, but I will do something alone. There's no humans, there's no animals, there's no creatures around. So he was always alone. And he was fishing. And fishing has something metaphors in the Mandarins. Because the most famous fishers is Jiang Taigong, the one who created or founded the Zhou dynasty, which believed to be the fundamental of the China civilizations. Jiang Taigong. So the story is Jiang Taigong 钓鱼. He was fishing on a river, but the fish hook is not curved, it's straight. So everybody is laughing to this fisherman, Jiang Taigong. So how would you fish? It's not the way of fishing. But Jiang Taigong stayed there day after day and fishing. Of course, there's no fish on the hook. And one day, the story and the name was known by the king, the first king of the Zhou dynasty. And he visited this person, Jiang Taigong, and finally gave him the position as a prime minister and a general. And so this one conquered all the land and found the Zhou dynasty. That's Jiang Taigong. So the fishing in the Chinese mind is always two things. One thing, of course, is a sort of the leisure. You'll spend your leisure times. Of course, the other thing is this one is a very capable man, and also he has a strong wish in his deep mind. But why he's fishing here? Because he's waiting the time and the person. When the time and the person is come, he will make a great achievement. So if you know this story, so everybody knows this story in China. So when the Chinese reading this poem, so the last sentence actually is expressing the poet's mind. Even he was in a world not like a normal world, but still have a strong wish to contribute to the country or do a great achievement. So that's it. He still has something, a big fire in his body. He's burning, and he's very. He has a very strong wish in his mind. He's not defeated yet. So let's look about this poem. 千山鸟飞绝，万径人踪灭. The most cold time, and there's no creatures. There's so many sense of destroying and killings. And in such a circumstance, the poet himself, the fisherman, standing in the small boat alone and fishing, he still has something in his mind, a very strong wish in his mind to contribute to the country, to do a great achievement. Why we like to read the classic poems again and again? because of the purity and the feelings, the purity on writing the poems, of the purpose of writing the poems. The ancient times, there's no copyright, so they won't receive anything, money, materials, rewards from writing poems. So the only purpose for writing a poem to express himself, and maybe a little bit to get a fame among the colleagues, the intellectuals, or maybe among the people. But that's all. In one aspect, the classic poem is a little bit like the pop songs. It was refined and selected by different people. Only the good ones selected by the people will remain and to be sung or read through. The classic poem is selected by people for many decades. So you can see that's the choice for such a great amount of people and through the thousands of years of time. Liu Zongyuan was normally categorized into the mountain and river farming field category. Wang Meng Wei Liu, Wang Wei, we have him. Meng Haoran, Wei Yingwu, and Liu Zongyuan. So this four was the examples of the mountain and river and farming field type. He was also a master on the articles. Well, it's hard to compare the same person to the same person. Okay, let's finish with the end stories of Liu Zongyuan. So Liu Zongyuan was stayed in this very remote place for 10 years, and he was summoned back to the capital Chang'an, his hometown, and my hometown. Anyhow, this is not a good time. Very quickly, he was abandoned again to a more remote place, the Guangxi province today. The city is Liuzhou. The same character of his family name, Liu. Liu means willow. And 4 years later, he died there. Actually, when he was abandoned, this time sent to Liuzhou, he's dying. And before his dying, roughly 2 or 3 years ago, he's writing things and prepare for his death in the remote place. And this actually was the result he has imagined 10 years ago in the place of Yongzhou, where he wrote this poem. Okay, that's for today, and enjoy in this heavy snow solar terms day. Bye-bye.